like how do we start shifting the mindset to where like we make it more appropriate to be traveling 6 7 times a year with your family and making that count, and like how the hell do we start even shifting a collective mindset to that, way of living?
I mean, first of all, in the Western culture, it's not shifting your mindset; it's shifting your bank account, right? So we need to figure out if this is logistically possible. What you and I have covered many times is that the balance is difficult in this setting, in our Western world setting. Being in Vieste was an eye opener for a lot of us, right? We talked about this where the day to day work or the day to day grind wasn't so grindy, right? It's a very seasonal type of living. The
Yeah.
people there and you can see it in Maurizio the way he lives his life in California, even. The people there are a lot more connected to the earth, to the time, to the year, to the season, to the people. How many times did you walk in a store and everybody knows everybody? That is such a big part of happiness. I think the most recent study that came out about people that lived to be over 100 that lived longer than those guys were the people with the tightest communities and the largest group of friends. Here, we don't really have that, right? In America, since you're a little boy, at least, in our side anyway, it's you only get one or two good friends in your lifetime. There's one guy you could trust. Everybody else is just acquaintances. Well, we now know that that's not true. You need a real village.
Mm.
So before we can get to the point where we're traveling all the time and experiencing this life, I think we could start on our own neighborhoods. We can get to know our neighbors. We can have more dinners with our friends here. We can build that culture. So one, we have that serenity here. And two, we don't feel the urge to go find it elsewhere. That's
Mm.
the first thing, right? Coming from a place where I come from in Hawaii, this is the norm. Money here certainly isn't abundant, and we were thrusted into the Western society in one generation, right? Partly through the 1940s and 50s, guys were, having money in your pocket wasn't a thing. You didn't need that, and you lived happily ever after, into instantly needing it for literally everything you did outside the door. So, if I were to digress here a bit, changing our mindset on how we see ourselves in our community, on our block, is first. When people talk about things like recycling, cleaning up the earth, making sure we're living as green as possible, the first thing I ask them is, what do you do on your block to make sure that happens? What are you doing on your block, your street, between you and the next stop sign to ensure you're living that life? Because if you're not doing it, why the hell would other people do it, right? And so that becomes my basis for how I consider all things.
Yeah,
Yeah.
one thing, one interesting thing. I mean, was fun to hang out with Junior and Luca after the event because he stayed, for a few days longer. So I kind of had the pleasure to bring him around, to be more chill and and not the stress waking up and plan things. So we kind of hang out, go to the restaurant. We went to the sea caves, and one thing that clicked to me was creating this connection between Vieste and Maui. And like Junior say, there's something that I don't see here in US, probably in little places. I don't know, but I don't have experience. But when knowing Junior and being in Hawaii several times, and specific to Maui, I sense the sense of community and family that is very eradicated in my culture in Italy. So I can kind of say, yes, it's like kind of the Italian version of Maui.
Yeah.
Everybody, we respect the elderly, we listen to the elderly. We are very, very connected to the tradition, to the history. And again, what the mayor of my town is doing, in the last few years is making very eco-friendly, the nature, respect for nature, respect for the culture, for the tradition, for the food, for everything. So what it clicked to me, hey, why we don't create this real connection, bring some people from Maui that can represent Maui, bring it to Vieste, and we can kind of share this two world and kind of create a mix, or see where we can link together in somehow, right? So probably this is something that also will happen during this human feat with Junior. See what kind of tradition from his land we can bring to my land, and maybe we can link together there. They'll be fun. There will be fun experience. So I want to see where we can go with that.